All right, welcome to Life It with DVD. Welcome back. Today I wanted to talk about how everyone's body has a story. And what that means is that there's nothing that we experience that passes through our mind that isn't affecting the body. And vice versa, right? So every single part of our experience, whether it's an injury, a trauma that happens, some sort of surgery, scars, emotional, issues, or like very strong emotions, these things that we experience, through our mind will influence our body if we haven't processed them. And what do I mean by processing them? Well, we have to experience them, right? And, sure, we can experience our emotions and we can let them pass through us. But if we don't go through the proper healing that it takes to process these things, they will accumulate in the body. And they will accumulate in ways that sometimes are unexpected, right? Because if we did experience an injury or a trauma, or we had something emotional that affected us, well, emotions can affect certain areas of the body as well, right? Typically when we are stressed, we hold stress in our shoulders. Sometimes we experience it in our back. And these things that we experience, right, change our body and how it functions. And if we don't process these things, the energy will come out in different ways, or it will be expressed in different ways that oftentimes cause, compensation in one area of, our life or our body, at the expense of another, right? If your back is tight, well, then that probably means that your abdomen is loose. If your shoulders are rounded forward, it probably means that your, mid back is very loose, right? But these compensations come from, you know, a variety of things that started in the mind, started in our experience of what happened to us. And that goes back to the story, right? What is the story that we are telling ourselves? Um, and, everyone's body has a story, right? And these can be things that, you know, things that are out of our control, but also the story is in our control, right? We can't control what happened to us, whether it be an injury or some, large emotional thing, but we can control the story. And when we get into the story, right, things might start to relax within our body. But this also goes vice versa, right? We can do work on our body to help release the injury, the emotions, right? And a lot of that stuff often gets lodged in, the fascial tissue, in the muscles, surrounding a lot of, our posture and the way we function. So we have to look at these things if we want to be able to change the narrative, change the story. It might be worth looking into doing some things yourself to your body, right? Whether that be doing some sort of exercise program, some sort of postural restoration, yoga, right? This can also be breath work. This can be going to, a specialist, or, a therapist, or some other, um, professional, or, you can just do these things yourself if you look them up. Um, but you can go to somebody else to help you release some of these things. I mean, if you talk about them, they might be able to identify the connection of, certain emotional issues, you know, affecting certain areas of the body. Um, and this can obviously go a lot of different paths and routes, but what this comes down to is, what are we holding on to, right? What is the energy that is in our body that we're holding on to, that is affecting our mind and affecting our behavior? um, because it's this story. It's usually a story that we have of who we are, what our identity is here, as a person. In this reality of that's really doing these things, that's really controlling us, or you know we're beholden to it, and we don't even know that it's there, right? Because it's an unconscious pattern. It's that tightness in the shoulders or the back, or your hips, or other areas that you might have no idea. So if you do feel kind of intuitively that something is holding you back, but it doesn't really seem like it's your mind, well, maybe there's something in your body, right? Maybe feel into your body a bit and see something feel off, something tight. you know Not to compare yourself to other people, but is there a feature to how you look, right? Just as a human being, is there a function to how you look that you know feels different or looks different, and you often wonder why? Maybe it's body asymmetry or something like that. Oftentimes, like, I look at the way I speak, and I see that there's one side of my jaw that feels that it's a little bit higher than the other, and I think that has to do with a postural issue that I have not been able to completely rectify yet. I'm well aware of it, um, but these are things often that require a very you know skilled person to be able to identify these issues. And fortunately or unfortunately, I haven't been able to find somebody yet that is able to understand the intricacies of the problem that I'm experiencing. So that comes down to us, right? That comes down to us being able to figure out these things ourselves, because nobody is going to be able to tell a professional or a doctor or whatever specialist what your issues are except you. And if you're not in touch with that, if you haven't tried things or really felt into your body and the narratives that you're telling yourself, well, how can you actually expect a professional to be able to help you? So, ultimately, this comes down to our own self awareness, the stories that we have and that we're telling ourselves unconsciously, and, possibly going a different path, by changing the body, changing the habits of the body consciously to release some of these stories. And I have had experiences where I have, um, you know, changed the way my body functions, and it also makes me feel better, right? I've also had situations where I've changed the narratives of the way I think about things, and I've also felt a lot better within my body, right? But it starts by slowing down, right? It starts by getting into these subconscious, unconscious narratives that we might be reiterating, um, that, you know, we might have to do some exploring with that and see, where do we think this could be affecting us? What stories do we have that aren't serving us anymore? Um, you know, is there something about that story that, maybe when we think about it, when we go back into it, we're experiencing something in our body physically, right? Let yourself experience that. Let yourself process it. Um, so this is just my opinion on what you can do to get into the stories that you tell yourself and to change them, right? Of course, you might need some help from somebody on the outside. It's always good to bounce what you think off of somebody else and have suggestions as well. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you have anything like this. Be interesting to hear. Let me know if there's stories that you're telling yourself that you're trying to overcome. I'd be happy to help where I can. So if you enjoyed this, like or subscribe. That'd mean a lot to me. And until next time, I'll talk to you later. Bye.